And hello, everyone. Welcome to After the Close. It is March, and happy St. Patrick's Day as well. That's coming. Well, in honor of St. Patrick's Day, I have Patrick Serpico with us this month for After the Close. Patrick, how are you?
Good, good. Thanks for having me.
Yes, no problem. So tell everybody a little bit about yourself, who you are, what you do, the like.
All right, so I'm Patrick Serpico. I'm the youngest brother of our host, Michael Serpico. And what I do for a living is I am a shift supervisor at Starbucks.
Okay.
And I also work as a front desk receptionist at this standalone music studio in the Princeton, New Jersey area called Stable Music.
Okay. All right. Great. 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 So you manage a Starbucks location, right?
Technically, I'm just like one of the supervisors. I'm not like an actual manager, but I do have like the key holder credentials to like do all like basically run the floor and do all that stuff. But I don't actually make the schedules and stuff.
I gotcha. I
Do like
gotcha.
all the administrative stuff.
I gotcha. We talk about like franchises a lot on things or on this podcast, and Starbucks is one of those franchises that I'm impressed by because they're famous case studies about how Howard Schultz would he would offer health services and healthcare to people if they work. I think it was like 20 hours a week. Like that was what they were always known for and things like that. So like
Yeah,
what
that is true.
today is Starbucks like still like a great like well-regarded employer? Like, do you guys
Yeah,
walk
yeah.
around
I
saying like
mean,
this is great, this is so much better than what it could be?
yeah. Their benefits package is actually really amazing.
Yeah,
Like as you said, they do offer a package where it's like 20 hours a week. You can maintain your benefits. Like basically like for part-time workers, you can maintain your benefits.
gotcha, gotcha. Yeah, it's good for people who are, I guess, like young and single like yourself, right? You get
Yes.
all that robust benefits, but you still have time to go up and do other stuff.
Yeah, and then obviously if you're like have a family or whatever, you could use those benefits towards your family.
Oh, they're offered across everyone too?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, some of the benefits are I know some of the benefits that I have are obviously directed toward me, but some of the workers that I have who are married, they either go through their spouse's benefits or through their own Starbucks benefits.
Gotcha, gotcha. Okay, all right. That makes sense, I guess. And then, is it owned by like a dude? Like, is it just like a regular individual franchise, or do you know how that works with the Starbucks franchise model these
No,
days?
it's actually the whole corporation.
Okay, so the one you work at is like corporate owned. It's
Yes.
okay. So like, you're part of corporate then. You're like, yeah,
Yes.
the employee. Do you have a union there? I know unions at Starbucks is big.
Not in the area that I work at.
Okay,
I
so
know, like, because I mean, I'm in the New Jersey. I live in the state of New Jersey, and I know there's one Starbucks location in New Jersey that's unionized, but that's nowhere near where I am.
I gotcha. I gotcha. Has anyone ever like come in, started singing or like shouting from the tables that they need to unionize in your store?
No, I've never experienced that,
No.
but
Okay.
I'm pretty sure they've done that when I'm not there.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. And so, are you, or would you consider yourself on like a career track?
That's a good question. I don't even know. I mean, to be honest, I've worked. Starbucks has been my longest employer because I've been there for over 6 years.
That is like three times longer than I think I've ever worked at a company. So you got me beat by a lot.
Oh, I win.
Okay, so you've been there like 6 years, but then you'd be there 6 years from now.
I'm hoping to make 10 years at least.
You get like a
But
plaque.
again, I don't even know. I can't predict that far at that point. I mean, I'll be honest, I'm surprised I made it this as long as I did.
Yeah, I have that same feeling in life too. Um, but if you get to 10 years, do you get like any sort of like bump in benefits? Do you get like extra? Does that mean
I know they
significant, or
have what's up?
is that significant, or is that just
It's
your
definitely
own
a
personal goal?
milestone. I mean, I know very few who have worked for the company that long, but
Hmm.
I've never asked them in particular, do you get like any like perks, added perks or whatever? I mean, what I do know is because I got this when I made 5 years, I got like a 5 year pin, which is like a pretty big deal.
Ooh.
And they gave me like a plaque and whatever to like congratulate me for making that milestone.
Did you get a pizza party? You got a pizza?
No, I wish
Oh,
I did.
that's like corporate stuff. It's like they give you a pizza party for everything.
No, no,
Um,
no, not them.
okay, all right, I gotcha. I've been looking into the benefits of some places as I've been poking around for a new job, and benefits is becoming a different sort of expectation these days, I have to say. I mean, like the flexibility and remote work stuff for corporate, that's all become part of like what benefits are included as. And I stumbled upon a company recently which still offers a pension program. You're young, you're a lot younger than me. You're what, 30, 31?
Yeah, around that age. Yeah.
Around that age. Where you don't have to disclose it, I suppose. But like, do you even have like a concept of what a pension is?
I think I've heard people talk about saying that they have pension plans, but I can only guess it's possibly like money you get after you retire. That's not a 401k.
Right, right. So it's called the actual name for it would be a defined well, you have like defined benefits and defined contributions. So pensions don't really exist anymore. Pensions are basically saying like you work for the company for a set period of time and then you leave the company, but then they continue to pay you money, which to I think someone under 30 might sound just like made up. Like doesn't even like that doesn't compute as something that ever happened. But yet for like years and years in the 20th century, people like lived off their pensions when they got older. It's astounding that
Yeah, I
that was a
remember
thing.
I hear like older coworkers, they would talk about that, or like older workers in general, they would talk about that, but
It sounds
obviously,
antiquated. Like it sounds like a man who would talk about his time in World War II and then his pension. Like that sounds like someone who does not
yeah,
exist anymore.
just about that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but I found one that actually still offers a pension, and I was doing the math on it and be like, oh, if I stay at this place like 10 years, I get like X amount. If I'm there for like 20 years, I can get like Y amount. And I was like, this is amazing if it comes
That's
to fruition. I'm not 100% sure I would trust that that money would still be there in 20 years, but the fact that
yeah,
they're offering it is something. I'll probably take free money
yeah.
all day.
So would I.
Mhm. So you've been at Starbucks for a while. They have great benefits. I understand that piece now. Tell me about the other place that you are working. I say operating like you're like a spy, but the other place that you're working these days.
All right, so the place that I'm working as a second job, it's basically like the name of it is called Stibel Music. Stibel is spelled Stibol. It's
Okay.
the owner's last name, and it's basically like an after school music studio where like people, the kids, students, adults even, they take like piano lessons, voice lessons, drum lessons, guitar lessons, like any like whatever instrument that we have to offer. Then we just like give them instructions on those lessons. Like it could be like as varied as like being a beginner or advanced. And what I do in that job is I'm actually one of the front desk receptionists.
Okay. Got it. Got it. Got it. So is it kind of like an independently owned School of Rock? Like School of Rock's big
Yes.
franchise? Is it just like that, except that it's independently run?
Yes.
Gotcha. 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 So what do you have, like K through 12 kids showing up there doing lessons?
Yeah, and I even have adults that show up too.
Oh, okay. They offer like adult lessons as well. Do they do like actual bands?
They do. They have like band programs. They do like a beginner band. They even have like group lessons for like let's say there's like a piano group where they do like beginner piano lessons for like a group of students.
Hmm. Oh, okay. Yeah.
And I know they offer like advanced band programs. I mean, I don't really know much about how it gets set up because the girl who works there, like the girl I take over for during the day, she does a lot of that setting up. And my guess is like if they like complete the first band program, then they can be in like the advanced band program, which is like they do a lot more gigs outside in the community and that kind of stuff. Because I know nearby, like especially during the summer, there's like farmers markets and other town events that the advanced bands perform in.
Hmm. I see. I see. Okay. So it's really much more community involvement then. That's kind of like the angle a little bit. How they get their
Yeah,
name
yeah,
out there. That's how they make their marketing and new contacts and stuff like that.
that and obviously like the social media posts.
Got it. Got it. Got it. Got it. Because you know, my daughter, your niece, is in School of Rock down here, and she's really starting to move up into like the legitimate kind of levels. Not just they don't just play like chopsticks with like two sticks banging together anymore. You know what I mean? They're not playing like
Yeah,
she's actually learning. real stuff, real songs, like real technique and all that stuff. So she's into it enough that we're like starting to invest in it, which was like a big like parent decision we had to make. Like
Oh,
basically like, are we
I'm
actually
actually
gonna
proud of
like
her.
put down real money for this and buy her like drums? Like that's what the discussion was gonna be about.
I'm actually proud of her because actually the owner of the school, his name is Chris. Chris is really a drummer,
Okay.
and I was like jokingly saying to Chris sometimes like, I wish my niece was here because she takes drum lessons.
Yeah, it's
And Chris was like, well, we offer virtual lessons because they know we live in different states. And yeah,
uh
that is true. They do offer virtual lessons.
okay. Well,
Because I remember,
I mean she's already set, but what you say about drums is interesting because everyone always says that apparently if you learn drums first, you're really good with other instruments because you're learning rhythm and just foundational tempo, which I never did. I can't play any instruments at all.
yeah, I mean, I've like messed around with drums a few times, but I mean, I got the hang of it, but I didn't like practice enough to really get the rhythm.
No, no, it's a real. If it's one of those things where if you are younger, you pick it up faster. Like musical instruments are really one of those items where the younger you start, the better. Some things you need to let to get older to be good about it. Like you really aren't good at like you can't be a chess player unless you're a phenom when you're 4. But because you just have to learn the game and become like much more advanced. There's a few. I mean, I know you'll find like those child prodigy types, but generally chess is a more intellectual game. You be older. On the other hand, for some reason, musical instruments, it's like as long as you get them started early, get them listening to music early, they really take to it quite well, which wasn't us. I mean, we didn't really, none of us played instruments growing up. It's weird. That was just not our thing.
Nah, I mean, out of the three of us, you, me, and Tom, I was your first guest on on this podcast, nevertheless.
Yes, yes, he was.
Um, yeah, yeah. Out of all three of us, I would say, and I think you would even agree with this, I was the more artistic one and the more like performance based one.
I don't think anyone would argue with that. You definitely took the to it the most cleanly. You definitely like made a run at it. Yeah, we were all much more in that like math and science camp, I guess. But then again, you were a
Yeah,
math guy too, so you can't sell yourself. So you majored in math in college, right?
I did. I originally I went to college originally to be a high school math teacher because I was
Hmm.
like a math education major.
Okay.
But when I did my one, I did like when I reached my third year of school, I did this 1 day a week student teaching that was part of the curriculum.
Hmm.
But that semester, I had actually failed a class, which depleted my GPA. So because of that, I had to drop out of the education program. So I did actually graduate with a mathematical science degree,
Hmm.
but also given the performance aspect of that of my personality of like what I was going through at that point, also still to this day, around the time I was like dealing with the education stuff, I was actually more involved in my college theater department.
Hmm.
So I auditioned to be a theater major also and got into the theater major program.
There you go. And then the rest, as they say, is
So
history.
what's up?
The rest, as they say, is history.
Yeah, basically. But also like to add even more history to that, and there's a pun behind this. Given that I remember I actually didn't do well in a class. I was only offered in the spring semester for the theater major program. So I actually had to graduate college in 5 years.
Oh, you're a 5-year graduate.
Yeah, but in
Okay.
order to fill in the gap, I decided to pursue a minor in art history.
So you were all over the place. You were a math major with with an art minor and a teaching certificate. You were really trying to like put together something. I don't know what, but you
Well,
managed to
I
balance
mean,
the left and right hemispheres of the brain.
yeah, I mean, what I really graduated was a mathematical science degree, a theater degree, and an art history minor.
Gotcha, gotcha. Yeah, the being rounded out like that is helpful overall. It maybe not on day one to find a job, but just generally to be a better rounded out person. You want to try to have some of that soft skills along with those hard skills. When did
Yeah,
When you were, we've been on a teaching kick here on Trader Dads for a while. And I almost forgot that you were a teacher for a while until you brought it up again. I guess that's one of those things that runs in the family a bit. We like you were a substitute teacher too, because last month we had a full-time teacher on telling us about his exploits, and you were a substitute, and I was trying to keep up by trying to tell him
yeah,
I was a substitute.
yeah.
So
I mean, I will tell you, and feel free to agree or disagree with this. feel free to agree or disagree with this, but being a substitute teacher, I feel like is more challenging than being an actual teacher.
I thought that being the sub was what I don't know. I mean, I haven't been a full-time teacher. I do believe that being a substitute presents its own unique challenges. Like you have to operate with the kids at a much less intimate demeanor or intimate. Ew, you don't want to say intimate with children. You want to say you want to say you just don't know them as well. You're just walking in and you're seeing 25 strangers for the first time. And you just have to like command their attention. On the
Yeah,
one
and
hand,
also,
it's been great for my like managerial skill sets. I will say that. Like if I were to
yeah,
manage a team in corporate America, I feel like I'd be much better off doing it because I spent so many reps like managing a group of children that I hadn't met before. So I have to learn to be more like assertive in certain regards and like more like commanding with like direction and things, you know. It was an entirely different type of managerial style than I had been used to when I was in the classroom. So that's actually been an interesting counterpoint to it.
yeah. I mean, but also when you're a substitute teacher, you also don't know like what you change classes every day. Like you change students every day. Like you're in a different classroom every day. Like let's because like in my case, I remember I one day I would sub for like a fourth grade classroom, and then the next day I'd sub for like an 11th grade classroom.
Right. And there's a big difference.
Yes, like without question, there was a very huge difference.
What grades did you like the best and which grades did you like the least?
Oh my god, that's actually a really interesting question because believe it or
That's
not,
why I asked it, bud. All the hard-hitting questions on Trader Dad's after the close.
oh my god, you're really hitting me with hardballs right now. Um, well, it was a tie between the sophomores in high school and fourth grade
That's such a
for my
divert. You
favorites.
basically, that's like, what do you like better, vanilla or chocolate? And you say like, I like vanilla and chocolate. Like that doesn't.
It-
Those are two different groups entirely. And you say they're both
yeah,
a tie. Come on.
yeah. But I will tell you, I will be honest, I really didn't like subbing for like 11th grade.
11th grade.
Yeah, I did not like subbing for them.
Oh,
But I
they're
think it was
almost.
more so like, but I think it was more so like the graduating class that I was dealing with
Mhm.
because I remember the fourth graders I dealt with and the 10th graders I dealt with. I really enjoyed teaching. I really enjoyed just being in the classroom with them because they respected me enough to know what I was all about, and we just had like a good like balance of education and good time. If that makes sense.
I, makes sense to me. I mean, you can explain to anyone who asks you how you had a good time with those minors. But I think the biggest thing is the older kids are wise to the fact that you are limited to the amount of power you actually have. I think that's what I'm finding. Like once I got to like even eighth grade, those kids are no longer afraid of you because they know the most you can do is kind of like yell at them. Like you have no real authority.
Yeah, I
The
mean,
younger
I
kids, on
don't.
the other hand, like fifth and sixth grades have been like my sweet spot of like those kids are still children, so they will listen to me because I'm bigger than them. But they're young enough, or rather, they're old enough that they can actually take direction and follow direction. You know, they're not like herding cats like they are with like kindergartners or something like that.
Yeah, and you started subbing after COVID. I subbed before COVID.
That's an interesting. What was it like to sub before COVID?
I feel like it was just more. It was definitely a lot more traditional. Like it was a lot. It was not as. I think it was like not as intense.
Really, really, when you what like because like how so?
Like because I feel like in your case, because we're post COVID, they're a lot more cautious. Because COVID wasn't a thing when I was subbing.
But cautious
It
like
wasn't
about
really
just
like
health.
what's up.
Cautious about what? Just like physical touch and like coughing into your like hand and stuff like that?
I guess it just wasn't on your radar as much.
Oh, so you basically are far less interested in being in a room full of germy kids. That's really what you're saying after COVID. It's okay,
I
you can
guess
say
so.
it. We're a safe space here.
I guess so.
I mean, I don't
I
particularly
really
love
have nothing
it.
to worry about in that case.
I don't particularly love it. No one does. It's tough. That's why, people don't want to, yeah, it's weird. Uh One of the advantages that I have had though is not advantages, I guess more of the perks. Just one of the fun things about it has been all of the different types of classes. So forget the age, thing like whether it's a kindergartner or a third grader or like a 11th grader. I like the different types of things. Like one day I do math, one day I do reading, one day I do social studies, one day I do something else. I was an art teacher for a day, which is just like I never thought I'd be an art teacher, I'll tell you that. But I got to
How
be
was that
one.
like for you?
Yeah, I just let them draw. I literally just let them draw on the whiteboard. And I was like, this is the most close to like acceptable curriculum we're gonna get, you know? So I was like, cool. You
Yeah.
just enjoy drawing on that board. I have started to be there enough where I have oddball stories, which is that's becoming fun. Like the week because you show up and it's a new day. It's like a new episode of a sitcom when you go. You really don't know what you're gonna get when you show up for that day. So I have done the Spanish speaking kids. Like I was in like the ESL class one day where they all speak Spanish. Ask me if I speak Spanish, Patrick.
Do you speak Spanish, Michael?
No, I do not. I do not speak Spanish. So that was a fun day. You know how I handled it? I had to they had to bring somebody in to give the just overarching instructions. And it was like Mayor Bloomberg talking to like a group of people out in like out of borough Queens. It was like I was like this little white guy and they had this big lady who came in and basically just translated in real time into Spanish what I was telling them. So it'd be like me standing.
So it was like you had like the interpreter with you.
Yes, that's what it is. The
Only it
question,
was
why could the interpreter not just be the teacher? I'll never know.
only it wasn't sign language, it was Spanish.
Yes, that's exactly right. It wasn't sign language, it was Spanish. But that was, you know what I'm talking about, like a New York news
Yeah, yeah,
conference where
yeah.
they have that. So
And
she's
I
standing
mean,
next to me and I'm like, good morning. My name is Mr. Mike. I'm here for you. And she just like cuts over. She's like, is like, I see, I can't even think of it off the top of my head now, all the things she said in Spanish, but she went ahead and translated it all for me. And then she just left and she just left me with the kids.
oh my god.
Like I had
You should have called me because I mean I took Spanish in high school. I think I think you took French in high school, right?
yeah, but I don't remember any of it.
I weirdly use Spanish quite a bit at Starbucks, believe it or not.
Well, I guess I buy that. That makes sense. You interact with a lot of people every day.
Yeah, yeah, and like a lot of times when I'm on register, I'm always like, yo hablo español. That
So
means do you speak Spanish?
do you get a lot of people? If they were like yes and started spitting out an order in Spanish, would you be able to handle it, or just be like, oh, this was a mistake?
So yes,
Oh, all right.
yeah, like because when I was first started working at Starbucks, I worked at some drive-through locations
Okay.
because actually as of when this is gonna when it was gonna premiere, I will be in my fourth location altogether, which is gonna be a drive-through location.
Okay.
The first two locations were drive-through, and the third location I'm in a mall.
Third location you're in. Oh, I've been to that one. That one's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah, when you came over last time, you and your family visited me.
Yes, I did. I did. When you were doing the drive-through, did you get the people who'd be like, and I'll get the guy behind me too, and then they like pay ahead of it?
Yes,
And is that like a
that
pain in the
was.
ass for you?
It is beyond a pain in the ass. Beyond.
Okay. Okay, because I didn't know that was a game, and I don't go to Starbucks. I'm like a Dunkin' Donuts person.
I
But
mean, they're obviously just trying to be nice, but it's honestly like more a pain in the. It's obviously more of a pain in the ass than anything else because sometimes you forget like, okay, what drink is theirs?
Yeah, so you
And
guys are
also,
not like pro people doing that. You think it's like a pain in the ass when people do that. As an
no,
employee and the drive-through window guy, you think it's a pain in the ass when people do that when they
oh
pay
yeah,
the person behind you.
and I did learn like a little secret like how to stop that, which is
Mm.
basically like if the next order is like a mobile order, they can make it for the drive through. Like, yeah, the next card's a mobile order, and we can't actually like skip over the mobile orders to like make the next payment.
Oh, so you could like break the chain anytime you want. You'd be like, oh, that was a mobile order, sorry. And then like the other person behind them will never know, and then that'll be the end of it.
Basically, yeah. But also like when it comes to like drive-through locations, they have to really keep an eye on the drive-through times, which is something they've really drilled into us.
Okay, I see. So when I didn't know it was a thing, because like I said, I'm a Dunkin' Donuts guy, and so one day my wife asked me to go pick her up a drink for her on the way home, and I was like, sure. And I went through the drive-through, and the person like I pulled up, and the guy said the person in front of you paid for your order, and I was just like, oh wow, that was so nice of him. Thank you. And I took the meal, I
That's
took the drink, and then I just left. and I did
That's
not at all
common.
keep it going. There was a guy
That is,
behind me whom I could have paid for, but I didn't even know it was a thing. And so I just, oh
yeah,
wow, that was so nice for him. And then I just
yeah,
went
that's
home
actually
and I
pretty
explained
common.
it to my wife, and my wife looked at me like I just like killed a small child because she was so mortified that I didn't keep the chain going. I had no idea. But I got her
Again,
a drink. That's what matters.
yeah, yeah, that's what should matter.
Yeah, there you go. So I'm not very good at Starbucks etiquette for a while. Do you guys care if this is fun because I used to go to Starbucks. I'm a Dunkin' Donuts guy in like real life, but I was a Starbucks guy whenever I was like in the city. Like I would drink Starbucks, like I'd get one in the morning before work, but like at home on the weekends in the suburbs, I would always just have Dunkin' Donuts. It's weird. But it does make me think about all the little quirks of Starbucks now. So like when you get like interns or somebody who or from like a corporate location who's like ordering like the 9 drinks,
Yes.
is that equally a pain in the ass? Would you much rather have one person, one drink?
Well, I mean, I haven't dealt with that in a really long time because I've been in the mall location for a bit at this point, so I haven't seen that in a really long time. But when I did have that, I mean, it's usually like the local doctor's office.
I gotcha. So like because that's a thing. Like when you're in like say a trading floor or you're working in a bank or a fund or whatever, the intern's always the one who's got to do the coffee runs. And I was an epic coffee run guy when I first started working. I was like the only intern on the floor, and then they'd have it was like 2 o'clock, and everyone wants to get their afternoon coffee. And like I used to have to sit there, and I would it was like I was a bookie. Like I had like might as well have had a green visor. I had my notepad and I went around to all the traders and I said, what do you want? And I got the orders down. I was like, medium this, and, large this, hot that, whatever. And I ended up with like 7 or 8 drink orders. And then they'd each go around, and then I'd have to get like, they each give me like $20. And so then I'd go and I'd have to go all the way down the elevator, all the way across the street into the Starbucks, and then show up. And they all knew me in that Starbucks, but after like a month, they're all like, "Oh, here's like, oh, it's Mike. He's here for his like, 2 o'clock coffees." And they're like, "What do you want now?" And they knew I was gonna have like this massive order for them. And then I'd end up with like 8 coffees. And so what I'd have to do is I would put 4 on the first rung, and then I'd have to put 4 on top of them, and like put it on top, like with one of the servers. So I had like 8 going, and I'd like bring it back, and I have to walk it across the street, and then I have to go into the building, and then I have to go up the elevator, and I have to distribute it all out, and then I'd have to make change for everybody, which was always goddamn impossible because it would come out to like they'd each give me like $20, but their drinks were like 4 something, so I each had to somehow divvy out $16 and change to everybody, which is impossible to do that math when you get like 5 20s. Like it just doesn't work. So that was always a pain in the ass. The coffee runs would take me an hour a day in the afternoon when I was an intern. It was insane.
Oh wow. I mean, one thing that I've always noticed that the intern would do is they would always ask for the receipt. Did you ever like think about like getting asking for the receipt, or just like just make it easier for the company or the employees themselves?
Yeah, it just doesn't work that way because it's not like a corporate thing. It's just everybody getting in the pot.
Yeah.
It
Okay.
just wasn't like that's just not how it was going to work. That's a good thought. That's a good thought that they'd actually like expense it, but no, it never worked that way. And you're not going to
Okay.
ask when you're like 22 and you're just like okay.
Yeah, because
But
I
yeah,
mean,
I used to do coffee runs all the time when I was
because
on
when
in the trading
I
floor.
was ringing up those orders, they would always 100% ask for the receipt.
Oh yeah, you see that's smart. What happened though is eventually you start to get around it because I would do coffees, but I also do lunch orders. And so this is like when this was like before the great financial crisis. This is going back a little ways, but you still get away with some funny stuff. So I would do all the coffee orders in the afternoon, but I'd also often have to do the lunch orders midday. So like as an intern, I was spending like 2 to 2.5 hours of my day just like organizing coffee and lunches. But when I go, sometimes they go they go to a place that was effectively a bar. Like it had like it was like a bar and restaurant. So I would be able to like sit and like have a drink like while I was waiting for the orders, that was nice. I'd get that every once in a while. And that they like these guys would like just I'm gonna ring it up as like an iced tea and you can expense it. It's like cool, thanks. So I used to get like a free beer every once in a while when I was going on the lunch runs as an intern. That was nice. That was a little perk you learned how to pick up.
That's good. I mean, I've never really been an intern or anything like that. I mean, the closest thing I was for an intern was doing that 1 day a week student teaching I did in college, but that was technically a class actually.
Yeah, you never really worked in an office, period. I mean, the front desk of a smaller place is one thing, but you've never like you were never like a typist or like a guy who filed things and just like, you never
No,
like worked as
never.
a during the busy season in an accounting company, you showed up for 2 months or something like that.
No, never. I never had the pleasure of doing that.
Never had the pleasure of doing it. Do you think you'd like it or do you think it'd be miserable? Like as someone who's never done it before, how fun do you expect it to be to sit in an office all day?
Well, given that I've always dealt with the high paced environment, I might be like, can I go and move? Like the whole
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. It is.
But I feel like if I would do that, I would do it for like a seasonal thing.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I still don't like doing it. I was always one who wanted to get up and walk around. It's part of the reason I was okay doing all those coffees and lunch runs because I'm like, cool, I get to get up and walk around a little bit. I always liked it
Yeah.
when I was on the trading floors and I could like get up and walk around and talk to somebody and ask about their stuff. Like that pre-COVID, that was like great because I like didn't never wanted to sit in my seat. That's also part of the reason I like working remotely is because the amount of time I'm just like standing or just kind of like walking, pacing around my desk at home is much, much more common when we know of other people who you're going to annoy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Again, I mean, I've only had like the retail environment, the Starbucks environment, and because before I started working for Starbucks, I worked at Macy's, and
Mm-hmm.
the Macy's had a Starbucks in it that I worked in.
Macy's. Oh, okay. I gotcha. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
you were like Al Bundy. You sell shoes.
Yes.
Yes. No, that
That
was
was my first department in Macy's was a shoe department.
you worked in the shoe department at the mall. You were like Al Bundy. Yes, that was awesome.
Yes.
You should have you definitely should have like leaned into that. You should do that for Halloween one day. You should one year. You should be Al Bundy. Um,
I mean, you've seen me. I mean, I do a lot of outrageous Halloween costumes, and I know. I mean, I do like to share them all over the place because some samples of Halloween costumes I've done was I once went as Adam Lambert.
Adam Lamb. Okay, got it. Yeah, I had to think for a second.
This past Halloween, I dressed up as a microphone. That was actually really cute that I did it. The way that I did it was because I got like a silver beanie and they got like a little like string thing. Like it was like a ball cap, but it had like strings on it to make it look like a microphone. And I had
Yeah.
like a whole like black outfit and it had like buttons on me that I designed myself to make it look like it was a microphone button.
Ah, very nice, very nice. You don't do any like actual cosplay. Like you don't go to you have you ever been to Comic Con? No.
Yes, I have been to Comic Con.
New York, like the one at the Javits Center?
Yes.
Oh,
I only
okay.
went there
All right.
once though.
Gotcha, gotcha. Yeah, I went one time and I was like, ah, that's fine, whatever. I wasn't like especially impressed with it. I never needed to go back. The cosplayer there are like they're the elite. That's like the Milan runway fashion, but for like, comic book competitions and things like that.
Yeah, from what I remember from going there, some of the costumes and cosplaying, I don't think I could ever compete with that. But that was at the time. But obviously, since a lot of time has passed since I went there, and I've gained a lot more skills in terms of like my creativity and stuff, I think I could be on like an intermediate level, not like their level.
It depends on what your commitment is. I like in terms of how much you're willing to pay, how much you're willing to put time in. Like some people have a significant advantage. I know some people are like actual like costume designers and or things like for their profession, so they do it as like a way to show off their skill sets and things like that. That's a big one.
Yeah, that's common. Because actually, one of the theater electives I took in college was costume construction.
Okay.
So that's how I learned how to like do like the basic costuming, and I mean, I actually learned how to sew in that class.
Oh, you spent time. You did right. You did all the tech stuff, but for like theater for a
Yes.
while. Yeah, and you do you still do that?
I haven't really done anything theater wise since COVID, actually. I mean, I did one show I did one theater show post COVID, like about a
Mhm.
year ago. But that was like the first show I did since COVID, because part of the reason for that was I started living by myself during COVID. So I was
As
keeping
did
an eye on
most
like
people.
what
Never mind. Go ahead.
yeah, so I was one of the reasons I haven't really done anything theater wise was because I started living by myself like during COVID, and I was also keeping an eye on like trying to keep my rent payments through on my bill, basically just trying to afford to live.
Gotcha. Fair
And I
enough.
knew
Yeah.
if I did like a theater show, because it was mostly community theater, which wasn't paid, I'd have to like take time off work to do the rehearsals and do the performances.
So it just became
And
a pain in the ass. That's all you had to say. Right?
yeah,
It became a
yeah,
pain
I
in the
mean,
ass. Yeah. Real life gets in the way. I get it. It sucks.
yeah, and honestly, at the time, I was like complaining a lot about I want to like go back on stage. I want to go back on stage. I want to go back on stage, and that was like the only time I was able to go back on stage. And I did
Mm.
like a one act, and that was perfect for me because it accommodated my availability, accommodated my rehearsals, my overall schedule, and I didn't get evicted. So yay,
Always a plus. Yeah. So it's
yes.
amazing how quickly that'll sneak up on you, the potential of being evicted. We are trying to get our girls into more stuff. So like they like the I said they like the School of Rock. Um we just we don't have theater. Theater is not quite there yet, but we are circling it because we are in like gymnastics and dance and School of Rock, but we actually haven't gotten to say like theater camp and acting yet. I'm not saying it won't happen, but it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, your oldest is like 7, right?
Correct. Yep.
I would say I would recommend like probably 8 the earliest or 9 the earliest.
Yeah, we'd have to find something that they'd actually a place where they'd go and be interested. We're trying to balance it with the sort of the art side and the sporty side. So we got some tennis lessons kicked in. That's a good thing. I have decided I'm going to make an earnest push for my future son to be a place kicker or a punter. I think that's going to be the way he's going to go. Did you watch Super Bowl when the Super Bowl was on? What a kickers duel that ended up being between both sides.
I unfortunately was working during that time, so I didn't watch it.
All right, forget that. We'll move on. But with with the
I mean,
dog,
you could describe it to me the play by play if you want.
no, that's fine. With the daughters, we're working through the one artsy thing and one sporty thing when my son comes around. This is a couple years down the road, but I've made the decision now. We can mark it here that I do intend to try to get him to be like the kicker or the punter of like his high school team and like make a run at football that way. I think he could be really good at it because it's such a mechanics thing. You know what I mean? Like I've said this before, like I'm like barely 5'10". I weigh like 165. He is not going to be a major athlete. But I looked it up and there are professional kickers who are my size or smaller. So I'm very sure if we want to go down that route, that's the route to go. We will get him kicking footballs. Like he's going to be like Charlie Brown trying to kick the football at first, but eventually he's going to get it. And then we're going to go with that, and that's going to be my golden toe to retirement. I think that's going to be
Just don't pair anybody up with him named Lucy. That's all I gotta say.
like what?
Don't pair him with anybody named Lucy.
Oh yeah. No, right, exactly. He can't do that. I do believe though we could get the hang of it because I remember when I played as a kid, the kicker was always like some like third rate kid who also played soccer because nobody bothers to like learn to do it. But if you
I
can
don't
get
know that.
him to like just learn the mechanics, like step, kick, and then like laces out, and I'll get a book. What it is, I'll have to get a book to learn how to do it myself. But I think we're gonna go for that, and we're gonna see.
Yeah,
He's gonna be like
as you're
all state North Carolina in 20 years from now, because
yeah, and as
he'll
we were
be like
talking about
16
earlier,
years from now.
as we were talking about earlier in terms of like starting music lessons at a young age, I feel like that works the same with sports too.
That's true. Yeah, it definitely helps a little bit. I think yeah, is it the same with sports? I guess it depends on what sport. Like something that requires like a lot more raw eye-hand coordination, I can see being younger being an advantage. But like again, like something like have you ever seen like 5-year-olds play soccer? They have no idea what they're doing. They're not learning anything. They're not absorbing anything. They're just running around chasing a goddamn ball. Like they're not like developing a real taste for it. They're just like, you know what I mean? Like they're not.
They're just there because their parents want them to.
Right, and they're not really developing like a internalized love of the game. I think at that age, when they're all just like running around kicking dirt and trying to like get the ball in the net, they're not like learning the game. They're just like running around playing. You're just tiring them out. It's like you might as well give like a golden retriever a tennis ball. It has the same effect.
Okay. I don't really like watch sports as much as the normal guy would.
Well,
Call myself not a normal guy.
fair enough. I do think the kicking thing is going to work out though. I'm looking forward to it. I look forward to giving everyone updates through the years as to how our saga of making my son like a professional place kicker and like making millions of dollars goes.
I can't wait to hear the stories.
It'll be a good time. So moving on though, what are your overall plans in either of those careers? So like I tried to get it out of you earlier and you kind of shirked the question. You think you're going to be at Starbucks 6 years from now? Are you going to go deeper into the teaching or the theater? Like what do you think the end game is going to be there?
Well, I definitely want to continue with Starbucks as long as I can. Definitely make the 10-year mark.
Okay.
But I want to go more into the performance world.
Okay.
Because actually because I actually got a side gig like right before Christmas to be like a work with a production company to be like an MC, like a DJ or whatever, and then use that as like my advantage to like get
What would
more
your
out there in the
DJ
performance
name
world.
be?
What's up?
What would your DJ name be?
I never thought of that, but I mean I do have a stage name that I like to use.
What is your stage name then?
Patrick. I'm gonna be mononymous like Madonna.
I don't think, did you say monogamous?
Mononymous.
Oh, okay. I don't think Madonna was monogamous. But all right, cool. So you're just gonna be you be MC Patrick?
Probably. Yeah, probably. Or
Oh.
DJ Patrick, whatever. But I mean, I've shown you and our parents and Tom this, our other brother, that I decided to spell the name Patrick in a different way.
Okay.
Which I did show you that I got a tattoo of.
Oh, right. Yeah, you have yeah, okay. Oh, all
Yeah.
right. So you'd have, yeah,
It's
you have the,
spelled
it would be the whole different thing. Right.
yeah, it's spelled in case anyone wants to know, it's gonna be spelled Patryk.
All right. We'll have slap it up on the episode mention so everyone knows how to spell it going forward.
Yeah, and I mean yeah, and obviously, I mean, I did learn as I was deciding that it actually has some Polish background, and our mom is Polish.
Yeah, but we don't hold that against her.
I just think it's a good like indirect homage to the mom's side of the family.
Gotcha. All right. So, Patrick, I appreciate you being here this month. We're coming up on time. We'd be a little bit quick this month. I'm pinched for time here at home. But I appreciate you being here. Happy St. Patrick's Day to you, sir. Happy birthday to you. I know it's your birthday around this time too. So happy birthday, my friend.
It is. Thank you. Thank you. I'm St. Patrick, born around St. Patrick's Day, named Patrick, but it's gonna be spelled differently if I become a DJ.
It's like thank God you were born near St. Patrick's Day and not like St. Valentine's Day, because then naming you Patrick would have been silly then.
Oh yeah. I mean, I feel kind of weird because I'm not wearing green right now.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we should have worn green. That was stupid of both of us. But all right, so kicking it off, remember TraderDads.com has a store open. Trader Dads Substack once a week. We do these podcasts once a month. Look for us next month. I think I'm trying to aim for a live person next month. Maybe. Fingers crossed in April, we're going to have a live person to do it. Thank you. Patrick, do you have anything else to say before we wrap up?
Not really, but I appreciate you reaching out to me to be the marked guest.
Thank you. No problem. So, all right, everybody. Thanks a lot. We'll see you next month.